But I think, see, at the time they had real struggle. You know what I'm saying? And now the struggles we go through is because of ourselves, whereas a lot of their struggle wasn't because of themselves. So now,
right.
So now it's not even a lack of tactic per se. It's a lack of caring, like Pastor Carl said. People don't care enough because the information is here if you really want to know. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to know how to get something done, the information is there. You know, there's people I've talked to that would the fulfillment that they get. I don't know if it's like a endorphin or something in your brain of just being able to identify the problem and complain is good enough for a lot of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the step to now rectify it costs you something. They don't want to do it. And that's an indication to me that it's not real enough in your situation for you, you know what I mean? For you to pay that price to get to that next level, because I've seen with my own eyes, people try to pass out information about, yo, it's local voting time. These are these people did it. And people take the fly. Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. And then 10 minutes later, they don't care about it.
Straight up, bro.
And so let me say this. When you say what's the desired result? Now, see, when the church get back to being the church, the desired result is the same things in which God desires. Because I even still think to an extent, even back then, the desired result was always skewed. When we talk about in a lens in a Western lens, see, if my desire is equality to some white man, I've already sold myself short.
Wow.
I don't care to be him. See what I'm saying? I'm out after what God called me to be. You see what I'm saying? I said this to my church last Sunday. Even our ideology of church clothes, you know what I'm saying? So when we've got this idea of giving God our best, how did we define what our best was coming over here in America? What a white man did or what a white man wore. So even down to that, and us carrying that out to where we're carrying this thing out hundreds of years later, we've carried out a tradition still chasing to be equal to man when that's not what God has called for us. So like we're still behind the 8 ball if I'm still trying to be equal to massa and not live and be like the master. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's where we are. And when we get back to being the church and saying, yo, my desire is part of the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying? When we get on that accord and do what it's saying in that good book of ours, then, you know, we can literally start to see God's reign and rule here the way it's supposed to be, as opposed to this American idea of what justice or what liberty looks like or what, you know, freedom looks like. Because even then, when they got free or when they thought they were free, they were still not free. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, so I feel like that has to be our desire. Like when we get back to really being submissive, it's too much head knowledge, you know what I'm saying, that we're trying to base it off of based upon our studies, the way America's been. And it's like, yo, we're really not submitted to God's spirit the way we say we do. We like the way we try to intellectualize it. It's just like, it's garbage, man.
So Rob, I'm interested like out where you're at, because you're not like really in the inner city like that. Are these things that come up or that people experience or that people complain about, or like are these issues where you're at?
I mean, it's not the same. I mean, because Black people isn't a majority here, so you know, like it's it. But my school is like the liberal of liberals. You know, it's super liberal. It's a huge. You know, that's most universities too are kind of hella liberal, to my knowledge. And I remember they had voting season. When was that? Whenever that was, a few months back. And I remember they had these flyers on campus, and like I remember the flyers was talking greasy about the anti-abortion people, about the people that was doing traditional marriage stuff. And they even all the professors, and I'm cool with professors, but not. But I remember they would have this girl who I knew, and I was in classes with her, and she started the Planned Parenthood organization on our campus. Wow. And like she could walk into any class right before class and be like, yo, there's this new bill coming out and it's going to stop funding for abortions. It's going to be harder for women to get abortions in our state. So like the professor, like legally professors couldn't like say what you should vote for, but there was no problem with a student that they knew coming in and talking about it and being able to say what they wanted about it. So
like do the churches over there get pushback on stuff like that or no?
They ain't talking about it. Not to my knowledge.
Wow.
They're not Chick-fil-A. They ain't out there.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the dynamics are, you know what I mean, in those types of areas or neighborhoods, even if they're predominantly one culture, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if there's problems with buying up the block or speaking on certain things, or when individuals are dealing with certain issues, is there a sense of community? Because the closest experience I had to that was time I spent in Delaware. And like the church, it'd be like one church in like a town or like maybe two. And they might own the store a mile away, you know what I'm saying? Or they might, you know what I mean? It's very more integrated, less distraction, more family oriented. So
It's
I didn't,
closer.
I didn't experience certain things there. It was like culture shock for me. You know what I mean? And so I'm just not privy to like the discussions that we're having. Do they happen in these type of communities or in different ways, like you said?
I'd say it's a lot more complacency around here in regards to like everything. Like it's either like, oh, I'm cool with my 9 to 5 and I'm just trying to do whatever. Like there's no sense of like urgency and trying to like move up. Like everybody's cool with settling here. And that's just something that I can't do. Like I've just, it's almost just so toxic. Like I was kind of sitting at that for a while when I first became a believer. I was like, all right, so now I just gotta like the way to level up is get married. And it's like, no, like I can do a lot more things out here, and like maybe it'd be like Paul, I just don't get married. Like how you saying, like maybe some people just don't get married. That's cool. Like so, I don't know. I mean, I think it's different. It's definitely not as communal. There's not as much like tight knitness going on. That's partially because people they just they drive in and go back home, and it's nobody talks to each other in my community. Like I'm even in my like little cul-de-sac, like I couldn't tell you either of my neighbors' names.
Really? Wow, that's crazy. Because like I said, when I was in Delaware, that's what it was like. Everybody knew everybody. It was like, hey, how you doing? And everybody was talking to each other. So that's interesting. Because then that goes to show every suburban area isn't even the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting.
Yo,
fellas, I got a dip, so I'm just gonna.
All right, man.
Drop it now.
Yeah.
Be easy, everybody. Pleasure. Be easy.
About.
Yo, I listened to this dude named Dennis Prager, right, from PragerU. He said, I look around for the tension. He's I'm in airports all the time. I'm flying every week. He said, I look around for the tension between white people and black people, and it's not there. They're getting along pretty well. And I won't say all is right with the world, but what do you guys think about that? Because when you, on the surface, if you came somewhere, I don't think you would get blood and crip type tension between black and white people on average. But online, oh my gosh, if you judged the country by online before you got here, you would think it was like gang warfare. But generally out in society, do you guys feel like there's like tension between black and white? Like speaking for yourself anyway, do you guys feel tension when you meet other races like now because of how heated it is, or what?
I don't think so. I think it's twofold to that, boss. I think it's the reason why online is the way online is. Mm-hmm. I feel like, because if I'm meeting a brother, white brother, and we at the airport or we wherever we are, it's easy for us to just cordially speak, show a little love, boom. When I'm online, you're sharing your innermost thoughts. I'm sharing mine. Now it's like, now I'm like, whoa, because now see, if you could wear your thoughts, you know what I'm saying, when I approach you, you know what I mean? I may feel a way towards
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that's where, because I had a conversation, right, with a dude that was like from the sticks in North Carolina, white brother. And, it's like, because I tweet about football a lot, you know what I mean? He a Cowboys fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, white guy. And he seen me tweet about, like white privilege or whatever, you know what I mean? And he took offense and was like, well, I don't believe in that. And then, of course, like some of my followers kind of like went at him, you know what I'm saying? And but I ask questions because I like to seek understanding. I don't always want to just be right. I want to understand people.
Right.
So it was in that we kind of had some dialogue, but then I also went out Dallas last year during the year of the draft when it was out Dallas, and I met him and we linked up, had a drink, had some grub, and we talked. And he shared with me, he said, I thank you for how you addressed me about stuff like that, because there were some things that I didn't understand. He said, I hear about this privilege. He said, I grew up in this little old apartment. My mom, battled with drugs. You know what I mean? He was like, 6 of us in the apartment, dirt poor. And he said, nobody never gave me nothing because I was white. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So in his mind, it was like, yo, that privilege don't exist in me. But it's like, you see how like with social media, we can make a statement and it could just seem like, bam, you know, somebody, you know what I mean? And I feel like, so yeah, I don't really think that unless you're really in them real racist towns, more times than not, it's not just a natural conflict or tension to where like we see each other as on site. But I feel like social media allows us to really kind of verbalize, voice our opinions. Sometimes they're not even really well thought out, or we don't really present it the best way. And I think that presents that conflict. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I think for me it's twofold. One, it plays out online, but it be the same people you work with or you're around every day. And it won't play out in real time, but it'll play out online.
Right.
And then that tension will revisit when you see each other in real life. Because now I'm looking at you different, like, oh, that's how you really feel.
Right, that's how you feel? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't necessarily think it's racial. It is to some degree where I'm at anyway, in Staten Island. We're the only red county in the whole of New York City.
You
know what I'm
told me
saying?
that. I didn't know that.
So it's like,
is racism in Staten Island?
hell yeah. It's probably the most racist borough.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? And it could be somewhat blatant or overt. But it's funny because then there's also a generation where it's super the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Where like the
progressive hipsters.
Yeah, they'll be battling their older generation white people that are racist. You know what I'm saying? And it's not only the white racists, it's black racists. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like a white person can't do nothing right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying? And that comes out online too. But outside of race, it's social structures. It's more like police and citizens. And a lot of the women are married to police officers. So it gets taken personal rather than a systematic dynamic. So there's just constant invested. Yeah, because if I say something that happened to me, anybody that knows me knows I don't play race cards. I don't do none of that, but I speak my reality. You know what I'm saying? So when I say I'm being harassed, it should be credible coming from me.
Right, but if they invested, the first thing they want to do is talk about how risky, how tough of a job it is. They're just doing the best.
Or you sure you didn't do this, and you and it's like, and that brings a certain level of frustration with people you got camaraderie with because they just don't understand the reality you live in. You know, and a coworker of mine, we went out one time. I told the story before. You know, me and her was gonna go hang out somewhere, and she was like, and I was like, yo, you're gonna get pulled over because you're hanging out with me, right? So we laughed, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm joking, but I'm serious. So long story short, 3 detectives roll up on us. We wasn't even driving. We had just got back in the car after leaving the spot, and they roll up on us, questioning us. So she's so irate because she's offended that this is even happening right now. Whereas with me, this is every 3 days.
It's normal, yeah. Wow.
You know? So, and then she was like, oh, we work together at the hospital. And they looked at me and said, he works at the hospital?
Wow.
And she was like, she goes, what the hell do you mean by that? Show him your ID. I had my ID on me. I said, I ain't showing him nothing. I shouldn't have to work at that hospital to be respected.
Straight up. I could be unemployed right now, in between jobs. Respect me.
Well, I wasn't going to reach for the ID because I wasn't trying to get shot. So that would have been me.
You know what I'm saying? And they basically was just like, and me, you know, I tell it like it is to their face. So I was like, listen, you think I'm selling her drugs? That's what it is. That's what you think is happening right now. Little do they know, my cousin was on the Supreme Court case for stop and frisk in New York City. So I know a lot of names that somebody that look like me, they wouldn't think no. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I throw a certain name around, your man tap his buddy and was like, yo, let's go.
Wow.
Why should I have to do that?
Everybody don't have that power and knowledge to do that. Yeah, they shouldn't have to.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So the tension is more like those type of structures, not necessarily black and white, but it's like by default, they're white families.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So then it just becomes a racial thing, but it's really a culture thing. Like you come from another culture than we come from. That, you know, Staten Island is segregated. They got the North Shore, which is like the blacks and the liberals, and then the South Shore is like the whites and the Republicans. And just like Pastor Cole was saying, like they're more in tune with the politics. I must say in the last few years, though, there's been this real push for the North Shore to get more in tune with politics. So there's been that just caused more attention. There's a lot of local elections
ideologies.
You know what I'm saying? When local elections come, it's almost like living out the country, because like me having a Caribbean background or having friends from like Ghana or Nigeria, like the young people were very in tune with politics from a young age. And it starts to feel like that out here, where kids younger than me is battling about local politicians. You know what I'm saying? So, but it plays out more so online than in place. It just revisits when you're in those same spaces, even if it's this Cold War type of tension. Like, yeah, what's up? I'm not feeling you, but what's up? Like, you know, I saw what you posted.
Yo, man. So my experience in Houston has been interesting, man. I feel like I'm discerning. I could be wrong, but I'm discerning a lot of places here in Houston that because everybody knows how tense things are, when I go to the Walmart, or I feel like white and black people are trying to prove their decency to one another. And I think that's a healthy thing. Like, black people are kind of like, hey, man, I'm just a regular cool black dude. And I think white people are kind of feeling like, hey, man, you know, like there's an eagerness to demonstrate virtue to one another, which I think is humbling and great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because nobody wants to be the extreme of what they believe.
Right.
Like we Christians, but we don't want to be Westboro Baptists. We want people to know we're loving. Right. And I don't know. I hope part of that continues as well. You know what I mean? But then again, my wife, she's white and Mexican. Her experience with police ain't been the same as mine, so she don't trust them. And I'm like, oh, they get along fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure you guys weren't hanging out. Like, I've become that guy now. And it's crazy because, black dude from Brooklyn, man. And it's like down here, they pull me over, paperwork not right. And it's been a pleasant experience. I don't know if I'm older and I know how to present myself in a different way. You know, more cordial, more deferential, you know, with a level of admiration and respect. I don't respond already accusatory. Like, they roll down the window, you like, yes, officer. Like, I don't know what it is, but I noticed that as I got old, I don't know if it's where I live or what, man.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, we got those blind spots sometimes, fam. Like, you know, like you were saying. I mean, sometimes when we was in a different place in space, we might have had a different type of aggression with us that we didn't even peep, because it was just it was our societal norm. Yeah. It was who we were. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, that's why sometimes when they calm down, and we like, man, I'm calm. You know what I mean? And it's like they looking like, you tense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you know, like I agree with you, fam. I do think it's dope, and I have seen that myself. Like interactions at airports, other places. You know, even if somebody may bump me, somebody's child touch me or something, then it's like, no, you know, it's all good, man.
Right. They're like, hey, look,
yeah. But I feel like it's two things there. Like, I think one, somebody needs to, you know, start putting content together on how do we have more conversations and dialogue and make it okay for us to have open dialogue, like kind of like what we're doing right here, Rigz. You know, where we're talking about experiences, we're talking about different ideology, what we believe, how we feel about different things, and it be okay, because I believe like as a whole, we're still fighting against the machine that mass media is. You know, so boss, to your point, like we're trying to reaffirm our humanity, you know, and our love to each other, because we already know as we encounter each other, I don't want this person to think that I'm just this black dude that the news is portraying me as. And at the same time, they like, hey, I don't want him to think I'm the white people that Fox News is constantly putting out there. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I saw real quick interjection, very short. I saw an old clip when Trump got elected. These Trump supporters left a $400 tip for a black waitress and said, we may not have the same ideology, yada, 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 but we live in the same country. He's a doctor and all of that. And it's like, he felt a burden to prove, like, I'm supporting Trump, but I don't support racism. And it's like, you know, not necessarily $400 tips, but I hope that kind of attitude continues.
That's why I was saying about the Confederate flag thing the other night. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I may support this because of my culture, but it don't mean I'm disrespecting the history that it has for you either, though.
Right.
And we definitely got to find a way.
Yeah, it is important, bro. Like, even as you said that, I'm like, yeah, man, like, having a place to have the conversations. But see, that's the thing, bro. Like the conversation is always one-sided these days. Like it's almost like for a long time we haven't had power. And a lot of these black preachers too. That's another thing too. A lot of these black preachers were playing the same game you play in corporate America, had to go along to get along, and that's cool. Now they getting all this off their chest about the Southern Baptist this. You was there the whole time, you ain't say nothing.
You got your credentials from them, and you was loving the platform.
And you talk about them behind their back, and you knew what it was. Black Lives BLM put a battery in your back.
Now they Me Too preachers.
Right, straight up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. God help us out here.
Yeah.
Yo, but this was dope. You know what I'm saying? We got less than a minute, so I know y'all probably got stuff to do. I appreciate the dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Dope. And we're gonna have much more in the future. And Robbie, get that music out.
Salute, great debaters.
Yeah.
Yo, Pastor Rob. Wow.
Prophetic.
Pastor Carl, I appreciate you coming and sitting with us for like 2 hours. And
all love, man. All love. This is great stuff, man.
But yeah, I'm gonna come make sure you check in tomorrow, though. All right.
I won. Oh, I just what he said.
I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all.
All right, love y'all, man.
Later, y'all. Peace and love.
Peace, y'all.